So where was I going with that? I would love to hear a little bit about, because I see you at a lot of conferences. You travel a lot, you're working a lot, you're putting a lot of content together. How do you balance that with a home life, that mythical work-life balance? How does Angie Jones do that?
Yeah. Everything is really blended. So my company just made me get a work phone and I'm like dying here because my my life and my work is very much so blended. Especially in the role that I have, like I might be on social media, and for most people that's a break from work, but that is work to
Yeah.
me.
Oh yeah.
Um, and so then not being able to like share a tweet to like Slack is crazy. And so I gotta like text myself on my other phone and then and then send it like it's nuts, right? And so my life is very blended. My husband is super supportive. I don't have kids, so that gives me a lot more time
Mm.
too. But my husband is so incredibly supportive. And he never judges me. Like I think I know I'm a workaholic. Like we might be, for example, we went on a little road trip yesterday. It's only like an hour and a half drive. But I'm like, oh, I gotta bring my laptop. It's Sunday, right? I gotta bring my laptop and I will connect it to my mobile hotspot. And I gotta like while we're driving, I gotta knock out some work or whatever. And he's like, he doesn't mind. So it's really great. He travels a lot too, and a lot of times he'll come and like pop up on some of the trips with me and stuff. And so then we've been married 20 something years, so it's working pretty well.
So you got married when you were 8 years old,
Yeah,
apparently,
that's
if I'm doing
right.
the math right. I love that. Shout out to Johnny, by the way. I did see him reshare this. Are you guys Pelican fans? I know he is. You are.
Yeah, we go to the
Yeah.
games. They sucked last season, so we didn't renew our seats, but yeah, we'll
Oh,
watch from afar.
well, here's to next season. Hopefully they get a good draft pick. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Obviously the job market's changed a lot since you came in. What are some things that you would tell people now based on how you've seen it evolve that will help them get the jobs? It's hard. It's very hard. So what are you seeing that's working for people you know?
You know, your guy Taylor says this a lot, and I couldn't agree more. Content is key.
Mm,
And I thought I might be biased because I'm in developer relations, but when I hear him say it, from the recruiting angle, I'm like, yeah, I knew it. But I've seen people who they lose their job. It's a horrible market. There's layoffs, and I watch how people do their job searches, right? And I say this from a very privileged place of being employed, but I'm always observing. And so I'll see some people who they use that interviewing period to also create content. And it doesn't have to be lengthy. So there's one person who was in leadership. So she's not making like blog posts and videos or anything like that, but she was using that opportunity to post very heavily on LinkedIn about her mindset as a leader, right?
mm,
And so she would take little things that might have happened throughout the day and she says, let me write about this. And da 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 da. It would be so like poetic, right? And she's like, as a leader, this is how, I deal with this situation, or these are the lessons that I apply here with my leadership mindset. And she got a job like that, maybe a month,
mm,
but I'm thinking that's the way to do it. So people can, everybody got a resume they're submitting. How are you going to stand out? So if you submit your resume to me, and I then go look at maybe your LinkedIn, right? And I see all of this. It's like, oh, wow, that's super impressive. I need this kind of person. You can't put that in a resume, how I think. Like that doesn't come across, right? But this does. Not only that, even places she didn't apply to. Imagine there's other leaders
mm.
who might have a role they haven't even published yet, but they say, you know what? I want that person to apply, and maybe they even craft it for that person. So yeah, I really think in this market, you got to do what you got to do to stand out. And no, I'm not talking about Nina, but she's amazing too. So Nina, so I saw in the comments, they
Yeah.
were like, I'm talking about Nina. No, but she's doing that too. So she That girl is fun. Let me tell you, if I had a DevRel role open right now, I would be in Nina's inbox. I'm like, that's real talk.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, she got it. She making content, clearly knows what she's talking about. She's walking a walk, not just talking a talk. I need to hire her.
I love that. Well, if that ever happens, we know who's going to be in that spot immediately. She's still looking.
Hopefully she gets
Hopefully
she
she's
gets
not by then.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just got. Oh, she just got one. She just got a
Oh
lead devil
yay.
role. So
See, look at
congrats to her.
that. A lead role. Look at that.
Love
Amazing.
that.
I'm
Let's
trying to tell
go.
y'all. That's the game. That's the move to make right now.
What do you think everybody should be like focusing on as far as specific frameworks or languages? Like, there's so much going on. Like, what do you see as really hot that could also help them job wise trajectory?
Jason, I'm gonna be honest with you. I live in a bubble right now. And my whole bubble is about how developers are utilizing AI. And
Mm,
so I feel kind of, I don't know the word, but when I see like even at render, and people gonna drag me for this. That's okay. Go ahead, drag me. I'm honest, I live in a bubble, but even talks at render, there were a lot of AI talks, right? But
oh
even
yeah.
a talk that says, oh, let's talk about, I don't know, async and JavaScript, like that's what I'm going to talk about. It feels out of place right now.
Mm,
And that's because like while we do need to understand the fundamentals, I definitely agree with that. Everybody right now is kind of on the same level where there's a new shift coming and we all need to learn it quickly and be able to adapt. And so if you're not talking about that, it
mm.
feels weird to me. But again, I live in a bubble. I know that about myself. Um, so when you ask me like, oh, what framework should be, I don't know, that
Yeah.
feels
Yeah.
outdated to me. I feel
Sure.
like everyone should be learning whatever you know how to do, whatever you do. I'm not saying go learn to do something else. I'm saying whatever you do, whether you're a JavaScript, Python, a Java developer, whether you do QA or dev or DevOps, whether you do design or marketing, whatever you do, I think you should be figuring out how do I utilize AI to be more efficient at what I do.
Oh, I like that. What's a good baseline for people to start with that? Like, where you, if somebody says, Angie, where do I go to even start to figure out how to implement AI into what I'm doing? Where are you pointing them?
My sister called me and she doesn't work in tech. She's my big
Hmm.
sister too. She doesn't work in tech. She's like a project manager or something. And she called me and she's like, yo, you're teaching everybody around the world how to use AI. What about me? I need to know how to use it because I already can tell. And I'm gonna tell you this, Jason. I'm interviewing folks right now for not for my team, but somebody has pulled me in on their panel to interview candidates for a role that is not a technical role.
Hmm.
But what they asked me to assess is people's AI aptitude and
Hmm.
attitude. And so this is an entire interview that's just about how do you use AI. So I'm not
Wow.
telling y'all something I think, I'm telling you what I know. And my sister
Wow.
was right when she says, yo, I need to learn how to do this because my sister said this like 2 months ago. She's like, I already know, whenever I go for my next job, they're going to be asking me how I use AI. And she's right. So
Yeah.
what I told her was to start with ChatGPT. And that's what I tell a lot of people. It's very kind of intuitive. It's just a chat interface. And that's your introduction to working with AI. And you can ask it any types of questions, do some research. You can even have it to put a customized plan for you. So, hey, I'm a project manager. I would like to start learning how to use AI in my job. Can you help me develop a learning plan or path with some exercises that I should do or some topics I should go read more about?
I love that. I'm just looking through some of the comments here. ChatGPT thinks I'm a man obsessed with React. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I really like that. I want to ask you a little bit about I think right now your three favorite letters, MCP. I would say I'm pretty
He
close
just
there.
smiled.
Yeah, instantly lit up. She's like, I don't want to talk about myself. Ask me about MCP now.
That's right.
So give us like a real surface level idea of how maybe somebody that isn't as tech savvy, like how would you think that your sister can incorporate MCP into what she's doing? And maybe
So
also for anybody that's not here, you could just give us a quick rundown of that in general. That doesn't know
yeah,
what
of
that is.
course. So the great thing about this is that I actually live this life. So it's not theoretical.
Mm,
Inside of Block where I work, our entire company is using MCP, not just engineers, everybody, legal, finance, design, the executive assistants, everybody is utilizing MCP in some way or another. So I can tell you exactly what that looks like. So for those who don't know, MCP is the Model Context Protocol, and it's basically a standard that allows AI, just like your chat GPT or something like that. It allows them to turn into this agent that can actually do things for you. So it can connect to your data and your systems. The C in MCP stands for context, right? So in order for the AI to really help you or be able to do stuff for you, it needs more context. Meaning, if I say, hey, if I ask ChatGPT, if I ask ChatGPT, hey, can you can you look at my Jira tickets and like figure out my work day for today? It can't do that. It has no connection to Jira and stuff like that. And so what MCP does is give your AI connections to your tools so that it can better help you, right? And so that's one of my favorite ones where I'm saying, like, here's my GitHub issues or my Asana tickets or something like that, and here's my calendar. Can you look at all of that together and figure out my week, like based on how many meetings I have, pull like how much work I can actually do? And listen, I don't like a whole lot of context switching. So don't just pick random things, kind of pick things that you can group together. So they might say, okay, girl, you booked on Monday. We ain't gonna touch that. Tuesday, let's get you in like tech mode, right? So I'm gonna pick some more like kind of techie type tasks where maybe it's coding and it requires deep work and stuff like that. And then Wednesdays we'll do more of your kind of review type of things, your managerial type of task. You know what I mean? And so
mhm.
that's a practical example of MCP in action.
I like that. How do you, obviously, you guys are using this now internally. Where did the idea for Goose? I'm thinking of Goose specifically here. Where did the idea of building this and then rolling it out into the entire company come from?
Yeah. So Goose, for those who don't know, Goose is an AI agent and it's built as an MCP client. And so one of our engineers, solo engineer, he started tinkering around with creating a tool that can help automate some engineering tasks. And as he was doing this, he built like a first version of it and was able to connect with different APIs. Super cool, super useful. People were loving it, like engineers were loving it, but very small piece, right? And as people started requesting more and more tools, it's like, every tool that I connect this thing to is a bespoke integration that I gotta go write.
Mm,
I'm doing this in my spare time, y'all. I don't got time for all that. And so he realized, like, yo, we need a protocol so that, like, I don't have to write the integration for every API. He wrote something up, him and like a couple of other people wrote up an idea for a protocol. We're a fintech company, we're not an AI company. So we sent it over to our friends at Anthropic and said, can y'all review this? They said, child, we already working on a protocol. They sent us MCP. We're like, oh, this is it. It was really similar to what we had, better.
hmm
And so we then became launch partners with them. So as they were finishing up the spec, we're rebuilding Goose as an MCP client, and we're able to give them feedback. All right, you need this in the protocol for this to really work. And we were basically like kind of ground zero in implementing this stuff. And so when they launched, we already had Goose as an MCP client. So we're showing like this is real, this is not theoretical. we have a client. Here's some reference implementation servers, and this stuff really works for real. So we started getting a lot of kind of news coverage. We went number one trending on GitHub,
Wow.
trending on Twitter, like all of that. And so there's a lot of buzz. And so everybody else in the company, you know how when your company is mentioned in the news, you get like a little alert or something. And
Mhm.
so they started seeing it like, well, now what's that goose? And they're like, okay, what about us? We want to be efficient too. And so, they were like, can we use it? And so we then rolled this out as a general purpose because it was only developed to be a developer agent, and now it's a
Mhm.
general purpose agent. But we were able to easily do that just by adding a few more features and some MCP servers that connect to other things. All of a sudden, now you have a general thing. By the way, I have a talk on this too. Rizal, I saw Rizal in the chat. Can you do me
Right.
a big favor and get that link to the experiment to enterprise talk that I did at MCP Summit? If we can post that link for folks,
Mm.
anybody who wants to know about how we do this across the company, 22-minute talk, and it's entertaining.
Worth it. Dude, all your talks are entertaining, by the way,
Thank you.
not just that one. I want to ask one more question as far as like the role. And then speaking of talks, I want to get more into like the public speaking and conferences and stuff like that, because obviously most people don't get into that right at the beginning of their career. It's an evolution. What's your official role at Block? VP of DevRel, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So somebody that's in a role like that, how do you kind of time box your day? Because it seems like you've got a lot of management tasks, but you also still are pretty hands-on as far as the code base. So how do you do that?
Okay, the secret is you don't sleep, right? I wouldn't
Oh,
recommend
okay.
I wouldn't recommend it to the humans, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, I told you all I'm a workaholic. I mean, it's not something I'm super proud of, but it is what it is. I tell the truth. So I do a lot of managerial stuff throughout the day. Most of my days are filled with meetings or like strategy type of things. And then y'all, I would go crazy if that's all I got to do because I'm tech girl. You know what I mean? And
Mm,
so that becomes my hobby of going and like I want to go dabble with the stuff. Like there's no way I can talk about something that I don't use myself. Otherwise, that was not going to be nice. I'm going to say otherwise I'm just a marketer. But no, like I want to be able to speak from experience, and so it's
mhm.
important. And I actually love it. I love tech, and so I that's fun to me to be able to like dabble in it. So
Sure.
that's what I do it. My nights and and weekends. I try to squeeze some fun stuff in here and there so that everybody's not judging me. If you follow me on Instagram, I like always posting like me doing something or at a concert so that y'all don't think I'm a robot.
You've obviously kind of curated this brand as the tech girl. Do you think that now that you have a pretty large following, I would say a lot of people know who you are. Do you think that there's a little bit of that expectation that is what you're supposed to do now?
I don't think so. Maybe, but I think if I stopped, I don't think anybody would even maybe notice. I don't know.
Mm,
I see a lot of people who came up in the DevRel game with me who are now also leaders and they're quiet, right? You
mm,
don't see stuff from them anymore. Maybe they would notice because I noticed that I don't see
yeah.
their stuff anymore. And I'm like, oh, I really miss hearing from them and stuff like that. So maybe there is an expectation, but I don't care. That's not why I do it. I
Mm,
really do it because it's just what I enjoy. I
yeah.
really, I really do just enjoy like being hands-on with the tech.
Have you, in your career, since you are the tech girly who's always working, it seems like, have you ever had a burnout moment? Like, have you ever felt like you've gotten to that point?
No, so
No. Okay.
happened. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
There's someone asked me one time hey, can you lead I don't know if it was a panel. I think it was a whole like thing, a big thing about like burnout and how you manage this. And I was like, I actually cannot lead this session because I don't know what that is. And I don't know why I don't, because I go very hard.
Yeah.
Forever. Like there is no down periods for me. And I'm not sure why I don't burn out. So I can't even give anybody a secret or anything like that. Maybe it's just that I really genuinely enjoy it. And so it doesn't feel like work
Hmm.
all the time. Like some stuff feels like work, but a lot of what I do is actually enjoyable to me. And so it's like if you were, I don't know, doing your crossword puzzle or reading a book, that's the same kind of joy I get from like coding or something.
I see. All right. Well, I mean, that's good. I think that kind of
Yeah.
touches on that, like, do what you love, right? If you love doing it, then how can you get burned out? Um, that's crazy. So if we were to go to that Instagram, what would be one of the things that you've done recently that brought you joy that isn't tech?
I went to see Beyonce in concert,
Oh.
which was amazing. And I also saw Kendrick Lamar in concert. So those are two concerts I did this summer that were just so much fun. And both of them were out of town. So they didn't
Hmm.
come to New Orleans. So it was a whole little trip. Like, come on, Johnny, we're gonna go and see a concert. So we saw Beyonce in LA and we made like a little, weekend of that. And then we saw Kendrick in Chicago and made a weekend of that. I'm a big foodie too. So, we go and check out like the local spots. Where can we go and get some good food? And so anybody who's ever dined with me, like I'm always taking pictures of my food and their food. And you might have never see the food, but it's just a thing that I do.
No, I love that. I also am a foodie. What was your favorite meal you had at Render this year?
Oh my God. So we went to this spot. Gosh, I don't remember the name of it. Something with an F. But it was like this Caribbean spot in
Ooh,
it was so good that I went back twice. Um
wow.
and so I got this like think about maybe like Alfredo, some pasta and oxtail on top.
Oh,
Oh my God. So good.
that sounds amazing. We were actually just talking about oxtail last night because we have some in the freezer. My wife was like, we could do that. I was like, oh, I feel like I want that, but I would eat all of it by myself. Like, what are you gonna eat? We ended up actually doing jerk chicken though, because I
Mm.
had from the food trucks, J Rob's food truck where they do the jerk chicken tacos with the pineapple stuff on it. I can't. It was so good. So now
Oh
I'm
wow.
obsessed with. I'm in like a jerk chicken moment.
Oh yeah, that
Um,
sounds good.
how many times have you talked? Like how many talks have you done? Do you have any idea? Like at a conference, everywhere, anywhere,
Oh,
ballpark.
so many. I don't know. Like I used to count. So every year I had a page on my website and I would like post
Mm,
all of the conferences that I've spoken at. And then I would like do a little post at the end of the year. Oh, I've done 65 talks this year, kind of thing. And so at this point, it got to be over 1,000. I stopped doing it because it's just too much work to even write them down.
sure.
That's how many of them I do. But yeah, a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Adewale said it was Rock Steady was the name of the restaurant, by the
Oh,
way.
thank you. Yeah, I
Yeah.
took Ace with me. After I had it the first time, it's like, oh, I can't deprive you of this goodness that I had. Come with me.
Oh, that sounds amazing. So where in your career did the public speaking start?
You know what? So I was on Twitter. No, let me take a step back. So actually, I was going to conferences before I started speaking, right? Love tech, love to learn, love to see what people are doing
Hmm.
outside. So I was going there, I was looking at all the talks, and no, this is not any ding to anybody else, but I was like, I'm not learning anything at this conference. Like I
Hmm.
know all of this stuff. It was a ding to me. I said, well, if you know everything, why don't you get up there and give a talk? And I was like, all right, there's a challenge for me. So it was something that was just like on my wish list of things to do, but I never really took any action toward it, just kind of like, yeah, I want to give a talk one
Yeah.
day. So I was on Twitter one day and I was scrolling and this post stopped me in my tracks. It was a black woman with dreadlocks and she was being promoted as the keynote speaker for a conference. Jason, I didn't know what that conference was. I didn't care what that conference was. I had never seen a Black woman give a talk, a tech talk, let alone be a keynote speaker at a tech
Mm,
conference. I was like, no, I gotta go. I don't know what it is. I'm going. And just so happened, it was fate. That conference was called Write, Speak, Code. And it basically was where you could go. It's like a little 3-day boot camp, if you will, where they taught you all about doing technical writing. They taught you all about doing technical speaking, and then also all about doing open source software. And
wow.
so each day was dedicated to that. And it was very
Sure.
hands on, where that first day was about writing. Let's go through everything. But by the end of the day, you're going to have written a blog post in that at that conference. The speaking one, by the end of the day, you will have given a lightning talk, a 5-minute lightning talk with slides in the works. And by the end of the third day, you will have contributed a PR to some open source project. And so that conference, I left that conference on fire, Jason. I knew the game is changed. I went home. I said, Johnny, get your camera, get me a headshot. I'm going places. I knew it was game over. I'm about to be out here. They gonna know Angie Jones in these streets. Nobody knew me at that time. And so Johnny and my friend, like kind of chuckling about me saying, like, I'm going places or whatever. And I remind him all the time, I told you, because that little headshot, that's the one I have on my LinkedIn. I'm never taking that down. I love that headshot.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of my beginnings, you know. But that headshot has traveled all over the world. It's been on billboards. It's been, you know, in other countries. You know what I mean? And so I said, I told you I was going places.
That's crazy. Where did this work ethic you have like generate? Like how early on did you know that this was how hard you were going to push yourself all the time to just always be at the top of what you're doing?
That's really interesting question. I don't know. I can't say for sure if I've always had this work ethic. I don't know. Um, what I do know is that I have had jobs where I have not gone this hard because I wasn't interested. You know, it's kind
Mm,
of boring.
mhm.
And in those types of environments, I don't do so well, you know. So that's another reason why I'm always looking for something that actually excites me. Because I know I'm going to give it 150% if it's something that I'm actually interested in. And if I'm not, I don't have that same work ethic, honestly.
Oh, I can appreciate that. I think again, it kind of goes back to that doing what you love. When you're enjoying it, it's not work. How do you prep for speaking events? Do you have any sort of like process you go through? And as far as like that first one, like do you remember the first one and what it felt like right before you went out there?
Yeah. I do. So my process, and this is my process. Now that I lead developer relations team, I understand that everybody has different processes, and I try my best not to force my flow on other
Mm,
people. Like, do what works for you. But for me, um, I never feel nervous when I go on stage. I did at first, you know, when I first started, but
sure.
I don't now. And I attribute a lot of that to my preparation techniques, right? So I only talk about stuff I know. And I try to share more experience reports versus just knowledge dumps. So when
Mm,
I share an experience report, that's a really different mindset than saying, hey, everyone, I'm going to teach you everything I know about Java. There's going to be, and listen, I love Java. I'm a Java girl. I'm a Java champion, actually. So one of the like less than, like maybe I think maybe like 350 Java champions in the world, right? Ordained by Oracle or whatever. So, so I know Java pretty well. If I were to say I'm going to give a talk about Java, I might be nervous because there's guaranteed to be people in the audience who know Java more than me, who, and am I gonna say it right? Are they gonna like reply guy me, or, you start getting nerve. That's where the nerves come from, because you start doubting yourself and say, who am I to even speak on this topic? So most of my talks are framed from my experience, even the MCP talks. I'm going to talk about something I built or something I've done. And it comes while I'm sharing knowledge, that's not how I'm presenting it. I'm presenting it as, this is my story and this is what I've done. It's not the only way to do it, right? And so with that, you don't feel nervous. Oh, I'm just sharing like something that I've done. Like nobody can challenge me on what I've
Mm,
actually done. This is just
yeah.
my story.
Do you ever feel that little hint of imposter syndrome in any of these moments in your career?
I've been in the game so long that I do not anymore. I've
Mm.
conquered imposter syndrome. I've seen actual imposters, and they sit amongst you. They might be a higher level than you. They might actually be leading you, and you say, "This person don't know nothing. Like, why? Or who are they?" And then you start saying, like, "Okay, well, I know this stuff for real," and so I've been able to conquer those feelings. So no, I never feel imposter syndrome anymore.
Well, that's good. I still suffer from that sometimes. I think reflecting on again, just being here at Render again this year, and just like seeing everybody again, I'm like, what am I doing here? I think I have to again kind.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. I think a lot of people do. But I
That's
think
super interesting. I mean, and I never think like, oh, I'm like the smartest person in the room. I don't think that at all. But I
yeah,
also think like I have something to contribute, but I also have something to learn. And
yeah,
so I'm glad to be here. I told you that at the beginning, like, oh, I
yeah,
love to go and I'm going to talks, and I'm like, even as someone who has been in this industry for so long, I always have something to learn. And so I guess just that frame of mind helps me not feel like an imposter,
yeah.
because I never tell myself like, oh yeah, I'm the expert at such and such and such. Even though I might be like, technically I'm a Java expert. Does that mean I know every single thing? Absolutely not.
Oh, I love that. Back to conferences. What's your goal when you go to a conference? I think there's like there's different tiers of attendees, and I kind of want to know which channel you sort of fit into. Like, what are your goals going? Sometimes you're speaking, so I know that's a little different. But what's your takeaway from going to those events?
Yeah. So my takeaway, I have two main objectives when I go, other than speaking. One is again to learn as much as possible. So I'm one of those people who I look at the agenda before I go to the conference. I'm already circling the ones that I want to go to. I'm super excited and I want to go and learn more about such and such topic, right? So that's like, I didn't see a lot of people at Render this year, and I think like people who I knew were there, I didn't run into them. And I was like, probably because I wasn't in the hallway track. Like I was like in these talks
Yeah,
for real. But like that's my primary goal. The other one is to network, right? And so I always want to you know this, networking is like super important. You never know where the next opportunity is going to come from, whether that's a job or anything else. Could
hmm
be another speaking engagement, could be anything, right? And so networking with people to see like what they do, what I do, what we might have in common, where we could collaborate in the future, or even if not, just always a really dope person. I'm glad I had the pleasure of meeting them.
yeah. How do you approach someone, or is that not something you have to do as Angie Jones?
No, everybody doesn't know me, believe it
Yeah,
or not. And so I just approach everyone. Hey, I'm Angie Jones. And sometimes they know me, sometimes they don't, and that's cool too. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a shy person, in case anybody didn't know. So I just walk up to people and like shake their hand or whatever. And it's really funny. Like I was somebody was sitting next to me at the event, and I go, hi, I'm Angie Jones. He's go, oh, you're Angie Jones, I'm such and such. And then I went, you wrote a blog post that I read just today. And then we started talking about that. So you can always find something to chit chat about.
That is true. I mean, that's honestly one of the best things about events is I go for the in-person stuff like that interaction, is making those connections. Has there ever been like that conference moment that has led to something in your career, like an opportunity or a spill? Like, what was like the most memorable conference moment for you?
So, speaking always leads to more, not always, but a lot of times leads to a bunch of opportunities, right? There's times I get off stage and there's other conference organizers that come to me and say, I got to have you at my conference. So now I just like booked another gig, right? Or they might say, that was phenomenal. Do you want to write a book? I'm not taking them up on that yet. Or, do you want to do a course or like there's always these sorts of opportunities. But even from like attendees, there's been a lot of collaboration, especially with MCP right now. So I work on an MCP client. Everybody in the world is building MCP servers. Clients and servers go together real nicely. So people are like, yo, let's do a collab. And I'm like, totally, let's do it. And so though no, I'm not writing a book. I don't I don't have time to write a book. Um, um, but yeah, that's like those sorts of like collabs or things like that are always really fun.
I love that. We've got a couple minutes left here, and I have a few more questions. But again, I just wanted to thank you for finally coming to hang out with me.
Jason, you need to knock it off.
Oh my goodness. What's one thing that you don't feel like you've accomplished yet in your career?
Writing a book. You know, I
Oh, what a segue.
I do want to write a book,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you all know Jez Humble. So, Jez is the goat in the industry. He's one of the people that's now quiet. I gotta go like bust into Google sometimes and check on him whenever I'm in SF. And he's like, yeah. I'm hiding out here. But Jez has written many books, including like Continuous Delivery, like lots of staple iconic books. And so Jez and I were like, yo, let's do a book together. And he has all this experience writing books. So I'm like, oh yeah, bet. And so we were meeting like every week writing this book. And I was like, Jez, this is too much. Like, how do y'all do it? I don't know how people do it. Like my good friend Sarah Drasner, she's another one with an amazing book on she has a couple of books, but like one on engineering management. And she literally like quit her job and then took a hiatus and wrote the book and then went back to work. And I'm like, see, that's what you got to do. There's no way I can squeeze in writing a book. So the project Jez and I were working on, I'm like, Jez, I quit. I'm not writing a book. I wrote like 2 chapters and I'm like, oh, I'm dead. Like, no, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot. It seems like a lot. But it seems like also if you were to write a book, everyone needs you to narrate the audiobook as well. I'm seeing a lot of that in the comments section
So
here.
funny. Okay, so the book I told y'all about is called Sarah Drasner's book is called Engineering Management for the Rest of Us. And she has an audio book. So I wrote her forward and I voiced my forward on her audiobook. That's the best y'all gonna get. Go get that.
There you go, guys. There you go. Wow. So if you weren't in tech, if you weren't doing tech right now, when it's all kind of said and done, what is the legacy or the memory of your journey that you hope people remember you for?
Uh uh for basically helping them understand complex topics, being able to then explore and utilize them to be better themselves or make the world better in some kind of way. So I think there's like a blockage to access for a lot of people. Like things seem way more complicated than they actually are. If you read specs or docs or like just stuff from very smart people, it's kind of hard to grok. And I think that's my magic power of being able to break down these complicated topics into something that everybody can understand.
Nice. All right. Now we've got like I said, a couple minutes left here. Where did the love for the air fryer come from? Let's talk about that a little bit.
All right. So y'all, this is embarrassing. I'm like being recorded. but I don't know how to fry chicken. And that's like insane in the Black community. Like, you don't know how to fry chicken. Like, what? Um, but I don't.
I'll edit this out. I'll edit this out. It's fine.
No, leave it in. Leave it in. I tried. I can't do it. It never works. So I heard about this machine that'll fry the chicken for you. And I'm like, I don't know about that. And Johnny a country boy, so he want good fried chicken. Look at Ebony judging. Um Johnny want good fried chicken, okay? And so he like, do not get no air fryer. That's not gonna work. But we were in the pandemic and everybody was trying stuff. People were baking bread and all, everybody was trying something new. I said, well, we're gonna order an air fryer and we're gonna try something new. Baby, I fried that chicken, Jason, and it was a winner. And so I became a believer. I was that's the thing about me, whether it's tech or something else. If I like it and I'm gonna get excited about it and I'm gonna advocate for it. So whether it's gooser or air fryers, I'm like, yo, this thing is amazing. I started frying everything in there. I started doing vegetables. I don't even eat vegetables like that. I'm putting Brussels sprouts in here. I'm roasting them. I'm like really cooking, and so I started telling everybody about the air fryer. And so I'm part tech evangelist and part air fryer evangelist.
What kind do you have? Do you have the French door kind or the pull out kind?
I got the pull out one. The Ninja AF 101 is the model. That's my favorite. Ooh. During the pandemic, I started getting really silly and buying. I bought like 4 different kinds of air fryer. Like this, y'all know you barely have counter space for one. So I got like 4 of these things or whatever. And that AF 101 from Ninja, that's my favorite. So that's my go-to. I got rid of all. I didn't really get rid of them, but I need to get rid of the other ones. But this is the one that's on my counter that I use all the time.
All right, there you go. The AF 101, everyone. There's your Ninja or your air fryer rec for the day. That's right. All right, last question. And again, thanks so much for being here today. What does success look like to Angie Jones?
Oh, wow. Success for Angie is enabling others to reach their goals. Like that's my big mission, right? Like I feel like I've accomplished a lot personally, but usually all of that has been in service of trying to help or empower someone else. And it just becomes like a side effect of that effort, which I think is really poetic in that, I think I'm a pretty selfless person, and the community means the world to me. And I'm always trying to help other people like up level or accomplish their dreams and goals. And one way I do that is just by sharing my own experience and knowledge.
Oh, I love that. You are so inspiring. And I continue to be obsessed with all the work and the content you put out there. You're fantastic to talk to. Thank you again for your time today. Thanks to all the chatters here. Where can we see you next? What are you working on that you want to plug?
Okay. AngieJones.tech is my website. And so usually all my upcoming events are there. LinkedIn, I have a newsletter. I kind of talk about what I'm thinking about and where I'm going to be and what I'm working on. So that's probably a better place. But AngieJones.tech, I'll have all my social channels and stuff like that as well.
All right, everybody head over there. Make sure you follow Angie. I'm sure most of you already do. If you're like coworkers don't, I'm going to be really disappointed. But shout out to everybody that was here. Yeah, I guess that's kind of it. Thank you again. We'll be back next week. We've got a bunch of stuff. Head over to torque.community. You can always check out our events calendar. But again, it was a pleasure to have you here, Angie.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We are out. And remember, it is nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. Have a great day, everybody.